It's a 4 o'clock. Now start ready.
I think maybe we just want to wait for give it like a minute or two. Some people might be running late.
It's a 4 o'clock. Now start ready.
I think maybe we just want to wait for give it like a minute or two. Some people might be running late.
It's a 4 o'clock. Now start ready.
I think maybe we just want to wait for give it like a minute or two. Some people might be running late.
It's a 4 o'clock. Now start ready.
I think maybe we just want to wait for give it like a minute or two. Some people might be running late.
It's a 4 o'clock. Now start ready.
I think maybe we just want to wait for give it like a minute or two. Some people might be running late.
स्टार्ट करा.
हाँ सर. श्रद्धा मैम.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
हाँ.
Good afternoon to all of you. Honorable.
Sir, Kadam sir.
Yes.
Heartiest welcome to our college, sir.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. It's an honor.
We are proud of you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, go ahead, madam.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Principal of our college, Dr. Mahadev Gavane sir. Resource person, Mr. Ramchandra Balkrishna Kadam. Vice Principal, Dr. A.J. Raju sir. Professor Sadashiv Shinde sir. Mr. Vishwanath Pancha. Ms. Jyoti Mashalkar. Mr. M.B. Bhatade. All my information technology staff members. All my students and other faculty members. Myself, Shraddha Ramesh Jadhav, on behalf of Rajeshri Shahu Mahavidyalaya and Department of Information Technology, welcome you in today's Cloud Engineering Career and Overview One-Day International Workshop. Now I request to Coordinator of Information Technology Department, Ms. Jyoti Mashalkar ma'am, for giving introduction of today's resource person, Mr. Ramchandra Balkrishna Kadam.
Thank you, Shraddha ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all, and special good morning to today's resource person. Shri Chhatrapati Shikshan Sanstha's Rajarshi Shahu Mahavidyalaya Autonomous Latur, Department of Information Technology, has organized a one-day international workshop entitled Cloud Engineering Career and Overview. For this workshop, the chairperson is Vice Principal of our college, Honorable Professor S.N. Shinde sir. Resource person of this workshop, Mr. V.D. Pancha sir. Program coordinators, Mr. M.B. Bhatade sir, Mrs. Shraddha Jadhav ma'am. All teachers from other college, other states, my colleagues and dear students. On behalf of Rajeshri Shahu Mahavidyalaya Autonomous Latur, I welcome you all in this workshop.
All right.
The main objective of this workshop is that, as we know that cloud in computer science field. Nowadays, many service providers use cloud computing to provide various services. To gain the current industry requirements of cloud computing and various opportunities in this field, we plan to arrange this workshop. We have invited a speaker who is currently working in this area and have good expertise of the subject. Here I am going to introduce to all of you about the Department of Information Technology. The Department of Information Technology was established in the year 1999. From the year 2000, 2 degree programs were introduced. These are BCA, that is Bachelor of Computer Application, and BSc CS, that is Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. From that year to till now, our focus is always on quality education and overall development of our students. As a result of this, every year over 800 students get admitted for these courses. Our college is an autonomous college, so we are always committed to design a curriculum which will increase the employability, skill, research culture among our students. The curriculum of BCA and BSc CS incorporates latest IT technologies such as .NET technologies, web technology programming languages, software development languages, aptitude reasoning, personality development, and interview techniques. These courses are introduced or included in our curriculum. Apart from this, we have also included the internship program for our TY students, final year students. This is I'm here mentioning especially for the participants and for the resource person, means what we have running here currently. In order to make our students competent in this global era, seminars, industry academia workshops, guest lectures, alumni interaction, career counseling sessions are regularly arranged to groom our students academically. Also in our college, various online certification courses are conducted, which are designed by IIT's Spoken Tutorial IIT Bombay. In these courses, our students' participants is in large extent. In the last year, our faculty members have designed and run 3 online certificate courses which are based on current trends of IT. That is Python programming, software development using C#.NET, and advanced techniques in computer networks. These courses are successfully conducted in the last year, and for these courses, the participants were from the India as well as abroad. Every year, some activities we conduct regularly, like RSM Hackathon project competition, student-to-student mentorship program, laptop awareness camp, programming language competitions, the techniques in computer network. These are some activities which are conducted in our department in the last year. Regular for these courses, the participants were from the separate placement as well as abroad, which various training programs, workshops, every year seminars, some activities we conduct regularly, like RSM Hackathon project competition, student-to-student mentorship program, every year awareness camp, and language competition. Techniques in computer network activities conducted in our department in the last year. Regular for these courses, the participants were from the separate placement as well as abroad. Various training programs, workshops, every year seminars, some activities we conduct regularly, like RSM Hackathon project competition. All of you, Mr. Ramchandra Kadam sir has completed Bachelor of Science degree from Pune University. At PG level, sir have completed MS, Master of Science from Master of Science in Computer Science subject from North Dakota State University, USA. Currently, sir is working as a senior software development engineer at USA. When we made contact with sir on phone, then and asked sir to take one session for our students. At that time, without taking much of time, sir accepted our invitation. So first, I would like to thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. I assure that the knowledge which will be shared in this session through you will definitely useful for all participants, and I'm sure that workshop will be fruitful one. With these words, I stop here, and once again, I welcome you all for this workshop. Thank you. Now I request the chairperson of today's workshop, Vice Principal of our college, Honorable Professor Sadashiv Shinde sir, to deliver the speech.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. Thank you. Rajarshi Shahu Mahavidyalaya Autonomous Latur, Department of Information Technology, organizes one-day international workshop on cloud engineering career and overview. Honorable Principal Dr. Mahadev Gavane sir, resource person of this program, Honorable Ramchandra Kadam sir, Senior Software Development Engineer, Dulles VA, USA. Special presence, Dr. A.J. Raju sir, Vice Principal of our college, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. A.A. Yadav sir, COE, Dr. Om Prakash Shahpurkar sir, Coordinators of IT Department, Dr. Jyoti Mashalkar Madam, Shri Vishwanath Panchal sir, Organizing Committee members, Shraddha Madam, Mahadev Batadia sir, Manjusha Shinde Madam, Chandraprabha Kulkarni Madam, Chetana Ahale Madam, Manoj Birajdas sir, Arya Sheikh sir, Suraj Patil sir, Bhairav Borde sir, PG Joshi sir, JM Jadhav Madam, AK Sheikh sir, all dear participants. At the onset, let me congratulate Department of Information Technology for organizing a nice workshop on very important topic, that is cloud engineering. Very good morning to gentle brothers and sisters of America, other Western countries, participants from South Africa, Ghana, and good evening to the participants of all Asian countries, participants from different states of India, student participants from our college, and all colleagues. Friends, cloud computing is a very important subject nowadays. For this workshop, the resource person who is available today is really resourceful person. That's why I salute Dr. Kadam sir for your excellence. Friends, cloud computing, when we are speaking about this cloud computing, our college is the only college in our area where we accept each and every new thing that is happening at the global level. Sir, you might have heard about Latur pattern in education. Our college is the pioneer of Latur pattern in education. With the persistent dedication, devotion, honesty, hard work, and painstaking effort, we have generated the own pattern in education, and that pattern previously called as the Shau pattern. But later on, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Vilasrauji Deshmukh Sahib, transformed the name Shau pattern into the Latur pattern. Now this pattern became the pattern of Maharashtra state, pattern of our country, and many number of the students from this pattern, they are working at a global level. Sir, we are the recipients of the different kinds of the awards. We are the recipient of Best Institutional Award from Government of Maharashtra, Best College Award from Parent University, Best Principal from Parent University. Number of teachers received Best Teacher Awards from the Parent University. Recently, one NGO from Bengaluru just gave us a very prideful award, you can say, and that is the best institution in the 21st, you can say. Sir, here we are known for the education in our area. At present, about 10,000 plus students are studying in our campus. 10,000, more than that. Sir, last year, more than 900 students have been admitted to the government medical college. More than 35 students admitted to the IIT courses. That's why our college is recognized as the college of education in not only our area, but entire country, entire world. Sir, we have started Department of Information Technology, which is inaugurated at the auspicious hands of Honorable Vijay Bhatkar sir. And all of you know about the Vijay Bhatkar sir, the legendary figure in the information technology. Our President, Honorable Dr. Gopal Rao Patil Sahib, Honorable President of Shiv Chhatrapati Shikshan Sanstha, Principal Aniruddha Jadhav sir, Honorable Secretary of Shiv Chhatrapati Shikshan Sanstha. And because of importance of information technology, we have started that department. And our Department of Information Technology is one of the very active departments in our college. You have heard about the number of activities of this department. Friends, today's workshop is very important and beneficial to all of you. The cloud computing is the delivery of the different services through the internet, including data storage, services, databases, networking, and software. Cloud-based storage makes it possible to save files to a remote database and retrieve them on demand. Services can be of both types, public and private services. Public services are provided online for a free while the private services are hosted on a network to specific clients only. The cloud computing provides users with a series of functions like email, storage, backup, and data retrieval, creating and testing apps, analyzing data, audio and video streaming, delivering software on demand. Cloud computing is still a new service, but used by a number of organizations. A number of advantages are there for this cloud computing. Say, for example, advantages like the speed, efficiencies, innovations, and n number of the advantages are there. Friends, let me tell you, wherever the advantages are there, it is said that advantages and disadvantages go hand in hand. When there is a head, certainly there is the tail. That's why every system has the advantages. At the same time, the disadvantages also. Just we have to take into account only the advantages. If they are more in number, we have to accept the system. Here, as this system is having the n number of advantages, this cloud computing is becoming popular at the global level. Some disadvantages are there. Disadvantages like security of the data. Encryption protects vital information, but if that encryption key is lost, the data disappears. Services may fall victim. Even the geographical reach of the cloud computing cuts both ways. Certainly, certain disadvantages are there, but we have to accept this cloud computing because this is beneficial to each and every client. Cloud providers, number of the cloud providers are there, and the cloud providers are earning much more. Say for example, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, IBM Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, and etc. Friends, I can say that here is computing, or you can say cloud computing or cloud engineering. N number of the scopes are there for making the careers in these. There is the sky, you can say, and the sky is the limit for this one. That's why you can opt this one and you can proceed with this one. With these few words, without taking much more time in between you and our resourceful research person, I am concluding my presidential address. Thank you, Kadam sir, once again. Thank you, friends, once again. Have a nice time. Thank you. Over to you, Mashalkar madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shinde sir. Now I request to today's resource person, Mr. Ramchandra Kadam sir, to start your session now.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to be here amongst you guys. I have heard definitely a lot about your college, and since I am from the area as well, I have a lot of respect for you guys. And knowing the when you gave the introduction about what all various things that you do for the students, various activities you have, the exposures that they get, this is truly amazing. Back in my time, this wasn't the case. Okay, so and I can definitely say that having all these say seminars and directions and interactions with people in the industry, and then providing path forward to the students, this gives a huge advantage to every student. Especially I definitely see myself, back as a student, if I had such kind of direction, man, life would have been even more amazing. It is truly amazing right now. And I think this would have definitely helped. So yeah, you guys are doing, absolutely great amount of work, giving the students awesome exposure. So let me start off with presenting here, and we'll go from that. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So we'll start with this. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about today would be what cloud computation is, and I think over here, like our chief person he's already chief chair. He's already given a very awesome introduction. He kind of knows good about it. I'll go over a little bit about the architecture, providers, what all certifications that you could do to get familiar with it, and present yourself as a or actually certify basically your knowledge. Okay, so that would be something. Next, I'll talk about say what all different kind of jobs that you could look for. Because really. Most of the students or all of us as we start, we want to be of some use, and we are available to the industry through the channel of the jobs for the most part. So that's what we can go over, and then I'll talk about what are the skills that are currently in need, what are the things like basic ones and even the advanced ones that it'll be nice to be familiar with. Also, I think some of the key portions here are, okay, it's good to know about skills, but how do I really develop them? Okay, so starting out, how do I know, and how do I prove that I have skills? Okay, and then once we have like certain amount of skills, then how do I land a job? Now you already have a very nice department out there that does a lot of directing and everything. Maybe they already know most of this stuff, but there is a different perspective that I might be able to add to today, and I'll be glad if I did. So all right, so that's the plan for today. Okay, so like the chairperson kind of said, why cloud technology? So what is really the difference? So imagine this, giving you a practical example of let's say if I wanted to go and buy a server, if I wanted to run my website, okay, if I would like to go buy a server or something, it would cost me maybe like a few $1,000s, maybe around like $2,000 to $3,000 for that. And then on top of it, when I'm running it, there's going to be certain maintenance of electricity and things like that, and then I have to take care of the security, all other patches and things like that. So with that, what happens is the estimated average cost of an average server comes out to be around $12,000-$13,000 a year. Okay, now for some of the high running ones, it's also possible to do the whole thing maybe within $2,000-$3,000 as well. But what happens is when you have a comparable amount of computation power and everything through one of the cloud providers, your cost could be maybe just like $200 or $300. So if you see, the difference here, earlier, but by doing it on-prem or taking care of it myself, whatever amount it could cost, my amount has come down like 90%. Or at least 75% for most of the people, right? So this provides a huge amount of savings. So first of all, whenever you as students or as any person, any entity in this world, when you try to go put money into something, you always think, okay, how do I get most out of this, right? So these this provides so much advantage, like gives you 75% off right off the bat, depending on what you want to do. So that's really a big thing, and then also it takes a lot of time to maintain infrastructure. Now this had happened with me in one of our jobs earlier, where the backup hardware one day just broke down, and I used to work for an insurance company back then. And it's a pretty large insurance company, one of the well-known ones. And about 10-15 years ago, there was sort of a malfunction, and basically the hardware that was available, it just went poof out. Because of that, we lost a certain amount of work for about like 7-8 days. There was available backups, but to get everything on there and the loss that caused, the downtime that it had was quite a bit. And you can imagine, say for a industry leader to be offline basically, or trying to recover from what happened, spending days on it, the amount of cost and everything involved in it, and the amount of pain that it provides to a lot of people and a lot of services. Okay, so now with cloud, what happens is these cloud providers, they have a lot of redundant connections. They keep 2, 3, 4 backups depending on how you want, and then they are able to restore that within say 5 minutes, 7 minutes, depending on what kind of failure occurs. Okay, but now imagine this: having something down for days together, 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, and then losing valuable amount of data, which really, nobody knows how much we have lost there. It's just an estimate at that point. But and then reducing that down to 5 to 7 minutes, it's this by itself is truly amazing. Having gone through that experience, felt that pain, and then now realizing that, oh man, this could be done in 5 minutes, it's absolutely a blessing. Now, the next thing is, getting like on-demand resources over the internet. Now, imagine, a few years, like say a decade ago or so, if let's say if your own computer department, wanted to get some machines, right? You had to go through like a process, fill some applications, get it approved, then physically the device gets shipped, then it gets installed. This whole process to just get one server up and running would have taken certain organizations months, maybe like even 6 months or so. Who knows, right? But nowadays, with doing this on demand, as long as you have, and there's a lot of risk involved in it, okay? Because you have the 6 months, you have to put the money up front, right? And everything. So now, even if let's say there's a head of department who has to approve certain things, and as long as they say, well, if it's under whatever, say $50 or $100, you don't even have to ask me. Just go ahead and do it. And then it really, if you wanted to stand up a server, let's say an EC2 instance or something like that on the cloud, to try it out on AWS cloud, it's barely going to take like 5-10 minutes, and that's it. You are basically up and running. So see this difference, a difference of time that has come, from whatever, months to months, and the amount of cost as well, and this is kind of come down to just a few minutes. It's so very convenient to all of you, and this changes lives. Okay. Also, let's say there is what it does is it reduces a whole lot of wastage. Okay, so let's say if now on one of my previous jobs, this had happened. We had one application that was sort of, I shouldn't say sort of, it was definitely critical, had stuff to stuff to attend really well when it was needed, and it could get so much load that whatever number of servers that we had at that point, it was estimated that to provide the maximum availability for that, we'll have to have 16 servers kind of stood up, and 16 instances waiting for that. Right now, the fun part is those 16 instances, they were not really used for most of the time. Maybe 1 day or 2 days in a year sometime there would be this flood of people who are trying to use it. And then after that time, the usage goes down, and those servers just sit there and look at the amount of, those 16 huge servers, they just sit there, and then amount of resources that they consume, so. But the actual usage wise, like for most of the for most part of the year, the usage be like under 2%. So 98% of that was just sitting and wasting, wastage of electricity, wastage of rest of the maintenance. So there is a lot of that. With this concept of auto scaling, what this does is it kind of provides you you are able to code and sense how much of the load is coming. Let's say if let's say my particular instance is getting used 50% or 70%, at that time I can have a scaling set which spins another instance and then kind of shares the load between the two. So that way it might take about 5-7 minutes for the second instance to come as needed. So as the demand increases, we are increasing our instances as well. Now imagine for us, having those 16 the servers sitting there. Instead of that, we would have started with just maybe 2. For some redundancy and failure resilience there, and then let's say if the demand at certain time was going up, we would have scaled to maybe 4, maybe 8, maybe 10, whatever is needed. And let's say after 10 hours, 14 hours, the demand has gone down, then we are no longer using those many. Then we reduce the number of servers. We kind of just shut them, roll them out and turn them off, and we are no longer using them. Because of this, the cost would go down, dramatically. So instead of 16, our probably average cost would have come down to maybe just 2. So that is possible because of some of the auto scaling features that most of the cloud providers have. And what are the kinds of processings that we could get? We have servers-based processing, serverless processing. Now, see earlier, say if I wanted to say execute something, then I'm going to have to have some kind of processor or some kind of server running. Now with some of the serverless. Now serverless is actually not serverless. It is running on some server. Something has to process, something has to run somewhere. But the only difference is you are not really, you're so far away from the instances and the server mode that you feel like it is serverless. Say, for example, you just want to run one particular program that you guys write. Maybe you have a snippet of your Python code or Java code or C code that you want to run, and you just want to test it out nice and quick. You are able to do that without a whole lot of effort now, just because of the serverless stuff. Also, nowadays you're able to even have say decent static websites that are not really running on any server. You could have them just on S3s on Amazon. That's and they were great. So depending on what your need is, there's different things in there. So like I mentioned earlier, see the maintenance has gone down. The downtimes, from days of downtime to minutes. So that's really a big portion of that. Also, storage. Now, all of you guys, most of you really, I would like to think are using storage in some for the other, some form or the other, because you probably store your pictures. You have everybody has most of the people have either some kind of phone, either Android or Apple, and you might have a Gmail or a Google account, and you have Google Photos, right? So that's kind of an example of these files or object storage. Everybody who has a Google account, they also happen to get Drive, which is 50 gigs of free storage that you have, and all that as well is kind of a form of a storage just from a user point of view. From say from for most of us, like the tech guys and everyone, you also have a storage like the databases. There are many kinds of databases that have come up based on the needs. Some are like structured, non-structured. Some are relational, document based, and even graphed databases and things like that. It's so all those they are available for you, under like certain licensing and all that from most of the cloud providers. So you see all these advantages that you get. Okay, this ultimately, because of it, drives so many savings, and it makes your life much more faster, much more easier, a lot more efficient. That's why everybody would want to take advantage of it. Okay, so that's say for example, now if you wanted to just experiment something, okay, because you don't know if it's going to work well or not. Now, instead of you buying a server, making all the investment, and then later on finding, ooh, it quite doesn't really work that well. So then you have already spent all this money upfront, right? But with this, with some of the technologies provided with cloud, you are able to do experiments, and they are fairly cheap, a lot more cheaper, right? Some of them you might even be able to use in like free levels, maybe on Azure or even Google Clouds. So also time to market. Now, time to market, we are in a very competitive world. I think it's always been that way, more or less, depending on where you are at. But then having these resources readily available when someone has an idea, when someone does some kind of experiment and all that, and you want to try certain thing, and you want to roll it out to just get it out live. This time to market has really reduced a lot. I could stand up my website, I could do anything I want in just maybe just a couple of days, if so that's all that is needed. Earlier it would have taken me a lot more than that. So okay. So far, I think on this introduction, I believe that this covers pretty good. If let's say you happen to have any question, just type on my way, and hopefully we'll be able to get to that. Okay, so so this particular slide, this kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of what the difference is. You might have heard terms like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. So what is really the difference here? So you see the first option here, on-premise. On-premise is everything is our responsibility, right from getware to actually running our end application, and all of it. So that's our responsibility, and then you basically have your own either even maybe data warehouse or your farm, wherever you have your server sitting, and you have your infrastructure people and everybody there. So this is pretty much you own it all. Okay. And like I said, whenever failure occurs, let's say one of the servers or one of the storage drives just happens to break, then depending on what backups we have, that's how like all the recovery process will be. Okay, so that's what this on-premises would be. So now from this infrastructure as a service, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, this is where like the cloud advantages start. So I could just get an instance, and I have now. I'd like to kind of make a little bit of a disclosure here. I should have probably done it before. For most of my time, I worked with AWS, Amazon Web Services. There is a little bit of dabbling that I've done with Google. I haven't done a whole lot with Azure. So most of the stuff that I would say, I would try to give examples from AWS. Now that doesn't mean say this provider is better than the other one. Okay, there is I don't know if that kind of concept even exists. It simply depends on what you need, and which provider gives you the best, and what works best for your organization for that time, and going forward in say foreseeable future. So for infrastructure as a service, so in this case, what you would do is you don't have to worry about like the hardware and the servers, and say even some like some of the maintenance and whatever is needed with housing it. Okay, what you do is, this is basically virtualization, where you are able to create just buy a particular AMI. Now AMI is like an image of a machine that you would install on get it up and running based on your needs, and then you would install whatever hardware, whatever software that you would want on it, and then you would have your applications running. So you pick your OS. It could be Linux, it could be Unix, whichever one, or it could be Windows, and then you install say maybe a Docker container on it, and inside the container, then you, or Docker, or maybe even Kubernetes, or what you have, and then deploy your application in there, and then have it running there. So that this is like, so you're only taking the infrastructure portion. Now, what happens is, with this, you are still responsible for taking care of even your VPCs. You have to set your rules for some of the security. Now with this model, you have your security being shared with the cloud provider and yourselves as well. Okay, so platform as a service. Now, a platform as a service, what happens is, you're not so much worried about the underlying stuff as well. All you have is your application that you want to deploy somewhere. Say for example, there is a service called, really like serverless. Okay, serverless things, most of them would fall under platform as a service, because then all you have is your own application code and your certain data, and then you want to have your serverless. In AWS, it is Lambda. So your Lambda, runs your code, accesses your data, maybe in some database, or it could be in a S3 bucket, and then processes that. So you're not really worried about anything else at this point, just your code and your data. So that would be platform as a service, and your responsibilities is kind of go. And one thing, unsurprisingly, that you'd notice is, as you see the cost that you have to worry about will also differ depending, if you are using software as a service or a platform as a service. There are a lot of organizations that we started as infrastructure, mostly using just as the IaaS, but then realized that if you use serverless, we have a lot more savings, and we move to the next model. Now, software as a service, in this case, you are basically just using it as, say, for example, if I want to have my own company email or something like that, right? I do not have to worry about maintaining the whole thing. All I need is just some email IDs, that just an account, like an admin one, where I'm able to provision all the users that I want and then maintain them there. So say for example, if I want to have an email specifically for my company, Gmail does provide that kind of service. I've seen so many organizations that actually just use Gmail and within Gmail they will get handles for whatever their name is at their company.com, and then they're able to use Gmail just fine. So that would be an example of software as a service. Okay, so the cloud providers, sir had already covered most of them, but I'm just listing them here. The biggest players you have would be AWS, Microsoft, Google, IBM, Oracle, and now there are many more. There are a lot of other cloud providers that are less well known, and they do have like certain advantages, but the services and all that are available, also will differ quite a bit. Okay, so but if you to begin with, if you just start off with maybe just the first couple of them to get an idea, that's good enough. Okay, so next would be certifications. Now, to familiarize yourself, to learn how say what cloud technologies are, and how AWS works specifically. There is I've just listed some certifications here. What I'm going to do is later on I'm also going to list some of the resources that I personally have used, and I find they are great, and that's what I want to share. So here. This kind of gives you an overview of what you can start with. So a cloud practitioner. So if you start with that kind of exam, they will you are tested on some good amount of knowledge that is needed. And now there is also a very awesome amount of preparation that is needed to do the certifications from AWS. I've done the architect certification for that. It was a lot of fun. It is tough, but what happens is the key is to have patience. If you don't understand it, let's just sit in there, absorb it as much as possible, and then come back. So every day I would spend 3-4 hours trying to do this, maybe a couple hours in the morning, couple hours in the evening, other than the work, and then try to learn the technologies when I did this back then. So these are some of the certifications you can do, and you can tell as you go from associate to professional level, like the difficulty does go up. So there's no surprises there to anyone. Okay, so same thing for Azure as well. Azure also has, but I think Azure is has a lot more certification scopes there. They have many different things, so you can and I think on their website they also kind of provide a particular path for which you want to take and then kind of achieve those certifications. So the same thing for GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. You have certifications for those. Now I understand that you want to say do a few things, learn and then proceed. Okay, so how will these help you? The certifications really help you up to say present yourself at for a particular job or something, because what happens is when certain resumes are being say screened, if you have two resumes that are alike and one person has done certifications and the other one hasn't, you naturally prefer the person who has some proven skills. Okay, so that's what really the certifications help with, to get your foot in, and even say later on once you're working, to reinforce your knowledge, to enhance it, because over time there is I would say certain kind of some things that we forget. It's just human nature. And then we just have to go back, relearn some of those things, and then refresh our knowledge. So they're a great way to stay updated. Now some of the like when you search for a job, let's say, what kind of titles would you search for? Maybe in like Monster Jobs or any of those websites. You want to look for, say, either cloud engineer, architect, and I think to begin with, for most of the students, you might want to focus on being just being a cloud engineer, because being an architect and all that, it'll come over time. It will take a little bit. Also. Things like say a software engineer or a software developer. Now these are pretty broad terms. So there is and within these different say titles, there might be some amount of difference, but there's going to be a lot of overlap on certain job duties that you do. So it's not like if somebody is an architect, they don't do any kind of coding at all, or somebody is a cloud architect, then they don't work in specific language or anything like that. It might not be the case. It simply depends on what is needed and how it works in that particular organization. Same thing, for the data side as well. Now, the data analytics and data engineering, data scientist, that field is fairly new as well, and there is a lot of mix and variations between the titles and what the job profile is. So yeah. uh, Related skills needed. Now, what I'm going to do is, I've kind of, when I put this together, I was just thinking of, say, skills needed. What would be needed for a cloud engineer, or the basic skills and understanding what DevOps is. Or knowing, say, certain coding languages. I believe most of you, are working with either Python, Java, .NET, or some of the front end languages, maybe JavaScript and things like that. So some amount of that would be would go a long ways. It's definitely great to have. Now, the other things that you want to learn and get familiar with is Docker and Kubernetes. Now, this is the technologies that provide you the containerization of your workloads. Now, and then you have Terraform. What Terraform is that Terraform has become really like a signature piece to be able to work with multiple clouds. Say, if I so what Terraform would provide you is, say, for example, if I standing up your infrastructure, deploying it, and running your workload, all that is kind of written up into written up into these scripts, and these scripts are going to say for AWS, they are in CloudFormation templates. Now, if you learn the AWS way, you might not be able to do the same thing in obviously it's not going to work with Azure. It's not going to work with GCP. So for that, Terraform kind of gives you a certain amount of advantage there. So it provides basically a common language to be able to work with different cloud providers. But we have to understand this, that even if I have one Terraform template that I have built that will do some deployment to AWS, the same Terraform template to do the deployment on Google, on, let's say, Google or AWS, doesn't work. It's not meant for that. Okay, because in the Terraform template, you kind of mention what you need to stand up. You have to say, well, I want to stand up, AWS, EC2 and all that. So you are being very specific to the provider. It's only a common language to be written there. But I think this would be a key piece to able to present yourselves as let's say as just a cloud engineer, instead of being a cloud engineer for one or two providers. You could open up yourselves for different providers with the power of Terraform. Okay, or with the knowledge of that. And then other things to be familiar with would be the CI/CD pipelines, so mostly Jenkins. And well, there are lots of like other upcoming ones as well, but Jenkins happens to be the most popular ones. And then have good understanding of networking, routing, subnetting, load balancing. And I think a good knowledge of security. Now, if sir earlier, he touched very, very awesome points. I really loved it, the way he put it out there when he talked about data security. Now, given all these advantages that are there, they also open up us to a lot of vulnerability. Okay, so security in the cloud is it's very, very high, and I mean it's so much in demand, and from the looks of it, it's only going to grow, and security experts are like truly needed in many places, and they are very, very handsomely rewarded as well. Okay, so some of you may want to say concentrate on say cloud security part. I think I had mentioned this here. Okay, maybe not, but that's fine. Okay, all right. So yeah, because having say DevOps and cloud security side as well, that's pretty great. But after you start with some your foot in the door in the cloud space, then from there you will this new world will nicely open for you guys. You love it. So here's the key portion. Okay, so how to develop the skills. I get it. All this is needed, but how do we do it? Okay, so I know some of this might sound pretty cliche. Yeah, this is what everyone does, but this is like very very important, and I think especially what sir had mentioned earlier, a Latour pattern, right? So that's what it does. There is a huge amount of secret in there, that we kind of maybe overlook or do not fully understand. We learn something, we repeat it, and we practice it. Okay, so this is really the basis. Okay, so whenever whenever we learn, so even let's say now all of you must be cricket fans, right? So you very well know, if let's say someone has not been playing cricket for certain time, they have played before, right? But if they happen to get back in the field, it's difficult for them to perform right away, because they know certain things, right? So first thing is learning it, right? So this is the most difficult portion of any skill. All of your students, you have a good amount of resources. So focus there on when you learn something, you got to repeat it, and in here most of the stuff that I would try to focus on would be doing things practically. Okay, so like creating a website, deploying it on a certain cloud environment, and just saying that, hey, I did create this thing, and understand what all pieces are needed right from the creation to getting it live. Okay, so this is some of the things which are very handily possible, and once you do this a few times, you will get a very good understanding of it. Okay, I will in the next coming slides, I will provide you with some more information on this. But then when you're learning, okay, I would make certain notes, and they do help me, and so I think it is important. Even say later on, what happens is we think that, all right, as long as we are in school, we do all those notes and everything, and then once we are out of it, we don't have to. But really, I mean, we should follow that discipline, what we learned there, what we did in our schoolings, and what the professors have kind of taught us. That basic way of learning, and then retaining it, and then reproducing it as needed, is very very important, and this is what you would need. Now imagine this, if I would have taught whatever 10-15 years ago, when I got out of college, that I really don't want to learn anything new. Okay, I wouldn't be here today. Okay, so because cloud did not exist back then, there are many languages that I've learned and dabbled with afterwards, because I wanted to learn something new, and I had fun with that. So learning new is not going to stop. You have to be ready to learn new stuff, and then the key to retaining it. Now a lot of people, we kind of come up with, say, certain say attitude that somebody is more intelligent, somebody is less, somebody does it once and they know it. Okay, that's great for however it works for anybody, but know yourselves, know what works for you. Okay, if for me learning something works in a certain way, I'm going to use that particular way to learn it. And then just as a human nature, okay, as I repeat it, the more I repeat it, the better I get at it, and the better I get at it, later on I don't even have to think about it. Okay, now this getting to this level is very important. That's what it's called as expertise. So expertise is basically you get at a level when you do something many times. You do it so many times that later on it becomes so automatically done in some part of your brain that you do not really, you consciously do not think it. So right now, say, imagine in the beginning, you have to, like, look at the keyboard, and you have to try to type certain things, and you have to think before every step. So this is what kind of takes time. But as you do it more and more, your the subconscious part of your brain learns it, and then later on you don't even have to look at it. You don't even have to think. That's what kind of gets the looks of an expert. But how did somebody become an expert? They simply practice it, they simply repeated it many times, and that's how it is. There's really no secret to it, let me tell you. Okay. How are you guys can think about that. Okay. All right. Now the resources that I use. Now, some of these websites. Now, I understand that for you guys, college as well, you would have tons of resources there. But I'm gonna just share some of the ones that I use and how I use them. Okay. Let me start from the bottom here. Lead Code and HackerRank. Okay. So these I heard some of you guys also are involved with coding challenges and do competitive programming. That is a very awesome place to be. I love it. And I want to continue to be able to do it, even for many more years to come. So I use these two websites for that, to learn Docker, and be able to practice it. You have this Play with Docker website, and you can get some good directions on that as well. Now, the next one that I would like to talk about is this one resource called a Cloud Guru. Okay, so this is like an organized. I have, and by the way, I have no affiliation of any sort from any of these. I'm just kind of mentioning this because these are beneficial ones to look at. Okay, they have lots of good training programs. And they give lots of exercises. I have seen people, like some of my connections, they have landed really good careers after learning or going through trainings from a Cloud Guru, depending on what you want there. So just take a look, and see what it is. I think price wise, it might seem a little bit expensive, because it's probably just like your college as well. So that's what that is. Now, other ones that I use is YouTube. Now, maybe everyone is already familiar with it, but do search for any of the courses or any of the things that you want to learn. Look it up on YouTube. Okay, because that's like a nice and a cheap start. Get it in there. You don't have to spend a lot of money. There are good stuffs available there as well. You could use that. So the way I would kind of advise some of you to do it is, let's say if you want to build a certain website, right? So just go to YouTube, type it up, how to do this, right? And then you're gonna get certain tutorials and things like that. Go ahead and follow it. Just see. Now, the only disadvantage that I see with YouTube is some of them might be outdated, some of them might not be very well maintained, and things like that, right? So because of that, what happens is you would kind of get stuck. You would run into frustrations, and that does happen. But then what could be done is you either find the help yourselves, either through your professors, or ask anybody. You could feel free to reach out to me as well. I would love to help based on whatever time I have. That's where YouTube will help. The next two that I have is like Udemy and Coursera. These websites that I've been using for learning, they are good. Most of the stuff they have is paid, but the good portion, good thing about that is the courses are mostly well maintained. You can stay focused there, where you don't have like any say for example, if I go to YouTube, that okay, I might find one part of the video and then have trouble finding second one and maybe third one, and I have to kind of manage that, right? So with Udemy or Coursera, it's a whole course there for you, and you can do it. I think it's very it might be very similar to a lot of things that you already have. So if you're after now we have been through all these ideas of what cloud is, how to get to know it, how to get certain expertise with that, and then what do you do with it? Say ultimately you want to be able to put all that knowledge to work somewhere, right? If your knowledge is not being used, if for anybody, then it's as good as not having it for the most part, right? For all practical reasons, it's just waste, right? So how do you make good use of it? The first point that I have is advertising your skills. Okay, this is very important. Okay, I didn't do it for many years, and I think that is something that I've learned. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this really makes so much sense, and I'll tell you how it works. Okay, so most of you, so whenever you do certain amount of work, let's say you create a website, you set up a database, or whatever it is that you do, or you say a design, you have a certain database design that you have, and then you run certain queries on it, you create stored procedures, and you have like, I'm sorry, did someone wanted to talk? Okay, so and anyways, yeah, okay, that's fine, thank you. All right, so so what I would do is when you do any amount of that work, even when you do any project from your school, take your own notes, write it down, what you did and why you did certain things. This is very important because in an interview process, or when you go to talk to some professional, or even recruiters, or anybody, right? When you are able to, when you have written these things, when you have done those and you have written those, that gives you a very nice way of expressing it. Okay, so it's kind of like a nice way of so you do not say flounder around by either beating around the bush or not actually delivering your message itself, right? Having these notes help you stay on track, focused, and knowing what you have to say, right? And it gives a very good impression to the listener as well. Okay, so during an interview process, if this is a very general question, I mean, pretty much like every tech interview you would see it. Okay, what did you do, how did you do it, right? So when you are able to say put into steps what you do, what have you done and how, and you just lay it out well, that you truly stand out nicely. Okay, so this is a very simple thing, but I think a lot of people that I haven't done it. I have had the opportunity to interview at least like 50-60 people so far, and it's yeah, it is a challenge to find good candidates. And when some candidate just comes with that kind of presentation, and you want to hear them out, you ask them clear questions, and they just give you precise correct answers because they come prepared for it. So it's that it truly sets them apart. The one other important thing is professional networking. Okay, most of you might be familiar with it. If you're not, please, there's this LinkedIn website. It's kind of like, I would say, social networking, but social networking you have like Facebook and maybe like some other providers, but for professional, LinkedIn is probably like the most reliable one, and the most used all over the world. So do create your account there. Have like a nice, like a decent professional picture of yours, and and just over there you should mention what all you have done. When you create your profile, just say things that you have done, what technologies you have put in there. So why are you doing all this? Why, when you create this kind of profile, when you mention all the things that you've done, you are advertising yourselves. Okay, now imagine this. If I create certain product, right, and I don't tell it to anybody, nobody knows about it, nobody's going to come buy it, and then it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just there. So but now when you want to rise up, or get a good job, or move on to a career and all that. Now if fortunately, like for an awesome college of yours, there are recruiting companies, that big companies that I heard, they actually come to you and kind of do that. But then what you can do is, you would have your own options. Okay, imagine this, right? You have, say, just one offer from one of the recruiting companies. They come, you take whatever they give you. You don't really have an option at that point, because that's the only one you have. You just take it, that's it. But then what happens is, if you advertise yourselves, okay, if you follow some of these steps, and you are able to put your work, publish it, you might be able to get many more offers. You might be able to get maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, who knows, right? So when that happens, okay, then you are able to bargain. You can say, all right, I have a choice. Where do I go? What do I want to do? Right? Having a choice, puts you at another level. It is even later on, in your career, all that, right? It's not, as much as you do these things, you do new things, you create new things just for your own practice, no problem. Okay, go ahead and put them together, write it down, and it magically works. Why does it work? Is because there are lots of algorithms. It's a lot of, or not forget about algorithms, just do searches. Okay, as a recruiter, when somebody comes in, when they search for a specific technology. They might look at certain experience, but see, you are able to put something together that builds your experience right there. Okay, I would rather say be comfortable with like a new person who is putting his own time, willing to learn, and he has already built so many things, or by whatever his own amazing amount of effort. I would rather go with that kind of new kid than having an experienced person who's not really willing to learn new things, or it doesn't really is not open anymore. So you know what I mean. So that's why you have this huge advantage of time, and these resource availability that you could use. And what happens is, when these recruiters, or when these companies, when these algorithms, they kind of pop you up, you just come up in their searches because of your skills. You will have the opportunity to interview with them. You will have the opportunity to connect with more people, and grow your network. As you kind of grow your network as well, you kind of get to see a lot of awesome things that other people do, and you get inspired. The more you do, the more inspiration, and you will get, the more you learn, and things like that. So it is a very awesome cascading effect that happens. Okay, so this way you could get started pretty good. Okay, so that's what we have. Okay, now, one more thing that some people kind of, I don't think anybody worries about it, but at least for cloud, there is the future. There is, like our sir said earlier, it is still in its young stages. There is still a lot more to be done. There is a lot of opportunity out there, and what happens is, as long as you are able to learn new things, and you are able to say look at what skills are needed, and can I get just learn that skill, say do something with it, and then try to implement in either your work or just for fun purposes, or your experimental project. That is what will keep you going. And there are certain things that kind of fall out of it. It's just the nature of the industry. Okay. If I learn, say, certain language, or if I do this, and I just stick with that, and I do not want to learn anything new for one reason or the other, it's going to be tough. I think it's the wrong place to be then. Okay. To be in software industry, to be in cloud, or any say IT stuff, we have to be able to learn, be ready to get a new skill, and always look, I would kind of just say, keep doing the new things. That way you would know what all skills are in demand. So really, if you look at what skills you need, the biggest skill is being curious and being ready to learn. Okay. And then you have the action part where you actually practice it, right? So that's what these biggest skills are. Rest of the skills, that the skill sets that you're able to develop with, there could be new technologies tomorrow, there could be new language or something like that, there could be new and upcoming stuff, there could be certain trends that change. But as long as we have this basic thing of being able to learn and being able to implement it, practice it, and get better at it, I think you'll definitely do good in your career there. So I think this is pretty much, I think, what I had for the most part. Let me do this. Okay, let me get back to our meeting here. Is there what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and ask out now. Are there like any certain things that anyone would like to say ask me? Either there is a certain point that I made that I would, if you want any clarification on that, let me know. I would be happy to help. Happy to talk to you about that. I understand that some of you might be looking at some say looking at maybe breaking into different countries for careers. I think that's a good way as well. I can maybe find out some more resources for that and relate to you guys through Shraddha madam. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. So any questions you have, please go ahead.
Student, any questions? Or any faculties, any questions to your? Please raise your hand. No questions? In any questions, raise your hand, please. Bhattade sir, can check what the raise your hand? Where is this? No one can question.
No. so looks like nobody has a question. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, but let's say if people think of any questions or anything later on, yeah, try to reach out to me. I am always in touch with some of the faculties you have here, so I'll be happy to help. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a very really best session now. So I will now I request Mr. Bhattade sir for the vote of thanks. Mr. Bhatade, sir. Sir, your voice is not coming. Okay.
All right. Thank you all. I'll drop off. Thank you.